What is going on, my beautiful D.D.D fam? It's your boy Brendan, aka Drip, back with another video. In today's video, I have the second version of Orcust that I mentioned, which is going to be the HORUS ORCUST, just the 2 engine. I know I mentioned before I was going to mix the Runic with the HORUS engine as my third version. If you've already seen my pure Runic version, I have yet to upload the one with all 3 engines. Mainly because I'm still figuring some things out. But what I will say is, depending on how the format shifts, I think this will be the better version. Only because you run 2 full engines, plus still have the ability to run 12 non-engine. So typically, when you have 12 non-engine, it's like, when you have 2 engines, it's hard to fit 12 non-engine. Sorry, I was looking at my camera trying to make sure it's still angled in well while trying to talk. I'm a guy. I can't do 2 things at one time. But this version has a lot more interaction on your opponent's turn, and you can still do all the typical Orcust shenanigans at the same time. Don't get me wrong, I love the Runic version, but only time will tell, honestly. At the time of recording this video, it's literally day 1 of the format. Day 1. The ban list just came out. Which leads me to my next thing. Happy New Year to everyone. Hope you all had a safe evening and everything like that. Granted, by the time I upload this video, it's going to be after, but I hope everyone's okay and everyone had fun and everyone celebrated and safe as possible. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get in this video. If you can, real quick, please hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't, and bell notifications so you never miss an upload. Check the description for all the ways to support me. TCG link, Discord, Patreon, all that good stuff's down there, and I love you so much for it. Without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into this. My Orcust ratio is going to be different compared to my last video, mainly because of Horus, but I'm on 3 Girsu. I'm on 3 Nightmare now, which you'll see why here in a minute. But I like 3 because you get them out of your hand, and consistency over everything with this deck. You need consistency over everything. Then 1 harp, the boy, 1 skeleton, 1 wand. I don't really necessarily like this. I really don't. If Crow / Bestials become very relevant, I'm going to put these back to 2. If you know my comfort ratios, it's typically 2. We never really had this, but 2, 2, 2 is plus 3, 3, 2, 2, 2 as my standard ratios. So if you've seen all my videos in the past. I don't like these at 1, but I don't want to go over 40, and these don't really do nothing for you in hand. I get that, but if D.D. Crow and Bestials become a problem, these will go back. I'll explain what, initially I literally just changed this today, last night rather, on these ratios, which I'll explain what the second copy of each one of these were when we get further into the profile. But I'm going to be doing this profile in engines, so I'm going to go ahead and show the spells and traps. 1 Babel, 1 Return, 1, and 1. You can honestly get since you're running such a huge Orcust engine, you can potentially get away with a 2nd Return. I run different cards in the deck to like accommodate not running multiple. And I like 2 Crescendo because I just like what Crescendo provides. This card provides so much utility for you. So we're not playing the Runic version, so I don't think 3 is necessary. Because if you've seen my Runic version, I mentioned 3 is necessary of this card in there, I believe, because you're playing a control version of Orcust in that version of the deck, as where this one is more of a mid-range. So you can get away with 2. But I like what this provides in the form of an Omni Negate that literally you just have to have Judgment or another counter trap to interact with this. And so basically, in theory, they have no way to really interact with this. And you can banish this to get your wand and your skeleton back, or recycle something that's a machine in your banish pile. So I like the utility of that, or search a Girsu directly from your deck. So it just provides too much utility to not run it at 2. 2 is my standard number that I've ran in Orcust for years, even dating all the way back to the original era. Just random shenanigans. We got a 4th Girsu basically, and then the Gizmic. I like the Gizmic because it's an 8. It's a free discard, so it has something to do with the graveyard, and it turbos out. Zoroboros, because if you know me, I run Zoroboros in all my Orcus decks. It's just too free. So this being a dark machine that you can send off Nightmare, a level 8 that you can overlay with paired with the Horus stuff, and it just turbos out your Zoroboros, makes him huge, really. He's the reason why I don't like running these at 1, because it puts you in an awkward situation to set this up to minimize like not getting destroyed in the grind game. Is you have to find a way to get this at least in the face up banish pile and this in the graveyard, or vice versa, to make sure that this doesn't like kill your grind game. So it's like one of those things where if you activate this effect, you have to make sure you have game. If not, then it's just too gutsy for my playstyle. But it is like it's not really mandatory, but like it's him. He's him. But for the Horus cards, 3 Msetti, Mom Spaghetti, 1 Happy, and then I'm on 3 Sark. This is where everything veered off. This was at 2, and then the Nightmare was at 2, and which was the second copy of Wanda and the second copy of Skeleton. But I switched it because consistency over everything. Because even if you don't see Orcust Engine, this is a starter. Regardless, this is a starter. And if they ash this, and you have no other way to get guys on board or get names in graveyard, then you just lose. So this is a starter. So in theory, we are running 3, 6, 9 starters plus Foolish. That's 10 starters in theory. So yeah, you don't need the other names. The other names are garbage. You don't need Blessing, because you don't need a draw, because we have plenty of ways of drawing in this deck. You don't need the other one because it's just terrible. Who cares about making your stuff untargetable? No one cares. These are the good ones. So but yeah, that's it for that engine. Moving on to the non-engine. Got 3 Fenrir, which I'll explain more of that in a second. 3 Ash, 3 Nib, 3 Imperm. This is my 12 non-engine. This is subject to change if the format shifts awkwardly. All these hand traps are subject to change. This is just early on. This is just generic. The reason why I like Fenrir is because it's a problem, and I can link with it if I need to help get my inboard at worst case, and he summons himself and replaces himself in hand, which is really nice to have with King Sark, because you need the ability to do that, to be able to do that, so you don't have to pitch your hand traps. So that's why I like that. He's just a dual threat. When he's on the board, he's a problem, and it makes your opponent play awkward, and I really enjoy that. Then Ash and the Imperm Nib, all that's like standard and generic. What I really like about Nib is, 1, it destroys Fire Kings if they just overextend. Not to mention, out of all the decks I think that are virtually like playable right now, Nibiru is like, Orcus is like the most free deck for Nibiru, because all you need is like Horus next turn, on turn 2, plus like a name, if that, any kind of Orcus name, and you can basically remake your whole board through your own Nibiru. So like the emergency button of using Nib while you already have an established board doesn't matter, because you just remake it again and break your opponent's board, because Orcus is just disgusting. But yeah, these are the most generic, like, for right now. I don't think it's like mandatory yet to play like Bell in the main, but that may turn out to what the Fenrir's turn out to be, because of Labyrinth and Fire Kings and stuff like that. So moving on to the spells. This card is potentially going to warp this format. I don't understand why this card just came back to 3. It's better than Prosperity and everything else. Upstart Goblin. Majority of my decks that I'm going to be playing this format is going to be playing this card. If you like giving him 1,000 life points doesn't really matter that much. It does, but like it's a good side out target anyways for going into game 3. It's literally 3 free targets to take out for your side deck, because this deck's fairly consistent as is. So yeah, like because like if you do this and then you resolve like Orochi like once or twice and you just make Zeroboros, you just kill them anyway, so it doesn't matter. Um, More spells. Two talent. Talent is really nasty because Girsu and Imseti are legit hand trap magnets. And if you, since you're playing so many other consistency cards, like you're playing 3 King Sark, if you having this to be able to rip card out of your hand or steal a monster is really nice to steal your opponent's card. This card is very nice, and the ability that I can still fit it in while having the rest of my engine full is just insane. And if you didn't already guess, the last card in the deck is a 1-card combo. Foolish, Sin Harp, get Girsu. There you go. You just go off and you just go full combo. But the ability to play 37 cards in a deck is just insane. I feel like there's just too many decks in modern Yu-Gi-Oh right now that can go off with any 1 to 2 cards, and the ability to just see the 1 to 2 cards with this is just insane because you use it, and you're bound to get into something, and it doesn't matter about 3,000 life points because modern Yu-Gi-Oh doesn't care about life points. We care about card advantage. That's just how the game goes. So once you get the cards you need, you'll kill them later, or they'll just scoop because they know they're out card advantage, and it's just inevitable before you kill them anyways. So yeah. Extra deck, War Legacy tokens. Let's get to the extra deck. Link Revo for the token that you get from Girsu. It's really nice. So it's Link Revo. 2 Galatea. Third never really comes up because you just start recycling from the graveyard. 2 Masquerena. I play 2 Masquerena because making the second one comes up a lot. And shout outs to Yassine for making that video about how to play through Nib or whatever. So I took this off of him, so shout outs to him. Not only that, even with it not being Nib, having the second one's really kind of nice. If you can't kill them, you can still prevent them from playing with the second one by linking into either SP Little Knight or Azalea. I like Azalea over SP Little Knight. If you haven't seen my runic build yet where I explained this, I'll explain it to you here. The reason why I like Azalea is because she's a dark and she's a machine, so when you banish your Crescendo to be locked into dark machines and you need an SP Little Knight-esque effect, then Azalea's there for you. Because you just make her, and she's also like a dual threat also too, because once you have her up and live, if she doesn't die from her own effect and like you have 4 spells in the graveyard, whether you attack with this into a monster or your opponent attacks into this, you just banish a spell from the graveyard to destroy that card. So it's really nice. It only bad matchup this card really has is against Fire Kings. But other than that, like this card being a dual threat is really freaking nice. What's really nice is when you get both of these in rotation with like the rest of your Orcust shenanigans. It makes it really hard to out your board. It's really nice. I love it. But I don't know if I said this already, but I do prioritize this over a second Little Knight because you never really like by the time you resolve Little Knight once with the rest of your interruptions and stuff, they basically just scoop at that point anyways. 1 Long for the Link 3. Long is long. He's a lot better now than he was back in the day. I think because the game is a lot faster, so he kind of comes up. And definitely whether it's recycling all your stuff or just being able to be a free send or just a big body. Then for the Link 4s, Zoroboros is the guy. He's him. He is him. So he's him. There's not much to be said about that. He's 10,000 times better than access code because like if you think about it, you're always going to be locked into dark so much in this deck. It's kind of hard to put out a different attribute, and so just like getting 1 pop off of an access code is just mediocre as fuck because you could just tech whatever you're trying to destroy, you could just out anyways with an Azalea or your Dingirsus. So I just find that not worth it. But the second Link 4 I'm running, which is a flex spot, but I'm running it because I'm testing it this format. But that's Borolo Dragon. The reason why I'm running this because it's really nice. Like in theory, this probably should be Boral Sword, but I like the ability to potentially play into something that's problematic that can't be targeted or whatever, and you just steal it, and then you just put Typhon on top of it, aka Emperor Zurg from Toy Story. because like I like the ability to be able to steal my opponent's monster or whatever, at least in turn one. If I can't kill them because they have huge monsters, like for an example, I was playing online and this card came up where I was playing against I didn't draw no hand traps. Didn't draw no hand traps. And I was playing against RDA, and they made a huge board. So like I couldn't kill them or really crack through their board because I was too busy potentially getting. I was getting rid of their follow up with their continuous spell and everything else. So I made this. I stole their hot red after I baited out its negate, and then made Azalea pop a card, made Dingirsu send a card. Then on their monster, I put Typhon on top and completely cracked their entire board. And Borreload helped me do that. So it's you don't have to run Borreload. It's like the only flex spot in the extra deck, but I really like the ability to potentially steal my opponent's monster and manipulate their attack during the battle phase, which is really nice. And we like cards that just say you can't respond to, so there's that too. Then the XCs, we got Dingirsu. Shouts to OTS Pack 11. Shouts to Rarity Collection. 2 Ding is standard. It's been the standard norm forever now. Not much needs to be said. 1 Zombie Vampire. 1 Photon Lord. Shout out to my Galaxy Gang members. If you know me, you know I'm the Galaxy God. And then Typhon. This card is nuts. We can keep this card on the board if we want to and just use it as a constant floodgate because all of our stuff is below 3k. Besides 0 Boros, but that's fine. In theory, sometimes like you don't want to like use Zoroboros' effect when you summon something to a link zone. So it's kind of nice being able to turn that off too if we want to. So, but yeah, this card's free. But this is like you get so much advantage out of Borreload and this. It's nasty. It really is nasty. But that's it for the extra deck. Not much I would change. The only thing, like I said, is a wiggle room in this version is the Borreload. But like I said, it should probably, like, in theory, be Borrelsword because sometimes you can't kill with 0 Boros because you can't. It's hard for you. You have to prioritize Engine over Gizmic or Rochi to be able to, like, if you get in those really grindy matches where your opponent's matching you 1-for-1 when it comes to your trying to progress in your game state. Excuse me. So, like, making a Borrelsword would, like, potentially come up, but sometimes, like, I like trying to outgrind my opponent anyways, instead of trying to immediately push for game, but it's up to you and your personal play preference. If you want to keep that as Borreload, put it as something else. Make it a second SP Little Knight if you want an SP Little Knight plus Azalea. If your wallet's built like that. Or you can run Bullsword, whatever. But I really don't think you need to be running access code because I already made it like well known to why you don't need to be running because all your stuff's dark. You can make it Unicorn if you want. To give you an additional target. But normally, my targets, obviously, for IP Masquerena on my opponent's turn is either Azalea, SP, or sometimes I make a Galatea because I need to, if I drew like a Crescendo and I set like a Babel off of Galatea, turn 1, the Babel will turn on my Ding. So like I can go summon back Ding, send something of theirs, then take Ding plus IP Masquerena to make a Galatea to then make my Crescendo live. So there's that too. So you don't always have to burn your SP Little Knight on your opponent's turn or your Azalea on your opponent's turn. There's a bunch of different avenues. You just have to be aware and just know what you're playing pretty much. But yeah, there's no side deck with this one. It's not a tournament deck, even though this is the deck that I'm going to be playing this format, and it's probably going to be the version I'm playing too. But if you have any problems with the side deck or want to know what I would probably run, then just let me know in the comment section down below. Also, let me know down in the comment section down below if you decide you run Borreload, how it runs out for you, or anything else in that flex spot. Also, just in case if people ask me about the Bestials, I made a reference in my Runic version. I don't like them. I don't like them in this deck. I just don't. Because I want to gain... they just feel awkward sometimes, definitely with too many engines. Not to mention, I want all my stuff to have literally the maximum amount of flexibility and overall coverage when it comes to whether it's the meta or anything like that. The only true thing you get from the Bestial package is the ability to extend and regain. That's literally it. Other than that, the format is going to be all fire pretty much. The only deck that you're going to really truly be able to probably hit with that is Dragons, which is a rogue deck, unless they find a way to break Ib. 2 will be Manadium, and that's only cutting them off from the Scareclaw line. And then maybe the mirror match. Other than that, there's no real light and dark in the format. Now, if lights and darks came back in the format, then maybe I'll revisit it. But until then, no.